All right. Frickin' doing it. So, hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of me making a video and disregarding the fact that it's been 2 years. This past year, I've been freaking killing it with my reading goals. I had a goal of reading 25 books, and I've already read 42. And so I felt like because I've been reading so much and because I've been gone from the internet for a hot freaking minute, it would be a nice return and a nice, just the reintroduction if we just sit down together and I tell you about all the books that I've read, all my thoughts on them, and then in between, maybe every couple books, I'll give you a life update and I'll tell you what the hell has been going on because people have been concerned. So yeah, let's get into it. The first book that I read in the year 2025, The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. It was really interesting at the start. I liked the direction of it, and then it just kind of kept on going, and I swear I was 300 pages in and I was like, wait, what's the plot of this? So yeah, this is the first book I read. I don't really have anything else to say about it. So yeah, I read this first in the year, and that's that. I kind of forgot how to review books, I won't lie. The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by Victoria E. Schwab. It was really good. I read a bunch of V.E. Schwab books back in the day, like The Darker Shade of whatever. I really liked all of them. I thought that her writing is always really cool. I liked her vibes. The writing was beautiful. The idea was really cool, and it felt like it was just good. Okay, next. Oh, okay, this is a little bit freaking awkward, I won't lie. I've made videos for 10 years straight, right? When you're deep in it, you're constantly aware of everything you read on your Goodreads. People are gonna know you're reading it and they're gonna ask you your thoughts. It kind of becomes this thing where it's nothing is private, right? There I was, having not posted in over a year, and so it's I can read whatever I want, and even if something's controversial, it's not a big deal. And so I was maybe I should read a book that people say is controversial and nobody will drag me because no one's ever gonna find out about it because I'm not on the internet. The book that I next read this year was a book called Captive Prince. I know just by this cover you're probably wow, that's really interesting. Basically, this is a book about a prince and he becomes captive. And there was a lot of themes in this book that were very interesting. And I was not sure if I was ever gonna read this, but then people were saying, I saw a couple book talk videos saying that this was amazing and that the world was beautiful and that the characters were great and that it wasn't about the stuff that was not super I don't want to say consensual, but some of the whole slave stuff, it wasn't really about that. And so I was maybe I'll read it and see if it's true that it's not actually about that. It was about that. I just feel my entire brand up until this point has just been very anti anything even in the realm of this, and so it's kind of awkward to say that I read this trying to read this for a good time. I understood why people like it, but it wasn't something that I personally thought was, I guess, socially acceptable. Oh, okay, so it looks like the next thing that I read this year was actually a short frickin' story, and it's called Galatea. Basically, this book is about a man who made a woman out of stone. This is by the lady that wrote the Song of Achilles, and basically he makes a woman out of stone, and then it's a whole thing where it's I'm a woman, I'm made out of stone. It was literally 10 pages. It was fine. And I read it in 10 minutes, and then I was oh, it's fine. Okay, I think that we've talked about enough books. I think it's time for a life update. All right, let's freaking do it. So I guess I should probably tell you about what's been going on since the last time I saw you, because the last time I saw you, it was 2023, so it's been a freaking minute. The last time you saw me, I was pretty much a fresh college grad. I graduated in the spring of 2023, and I got my degree. I was so excited. I graduated. It was so great. And pretty much my entire last semester, it was super stressful. Spring of 2023 was just trying to do all these projects and get everything wrapped up and make sure I had all my credits and trying to find a job too. What the hell? I was applying all the time, and then I graduated and I had nothing lined up, and so that kind of was this stress within itself. And then all of your friends are getting jobs, and then your parents are asking oh, you what are you gonna do? And then you don't know what you're gonna freaking do. I spent pretty much that entire summer just applying to jobs, and sometimes it would go, I thought, really well. I would get these interviews and I would be hell yeah, I'm about to score, and I would really hit it off with the person. I had so many job interview people telling me that I was great. I had multiple, not just one. I had multiple people say oh, you, out of all the people we've interviewed for this, you're at the top of my list, you're great. Despite all of the good feedback I couldn't get a freaking job. I was working with like freaking job recruiters, and then the job recruiters would ghost me. Literally for 9 freaking months, from the spring of 2023 all the way to the start of 2024, I was just jobless. And during some of that time, I was trying to do some YouTube videos just to like keep myself afloat, basically. And it wasn't that I didn't want to do YouTube, because I always have loved making it. It's fun to make videos. It's fun to sort of put myself out there, and it is a passion of mine. But I think when you're fresh out of college and you just spent 4 years and literally thousands of dollars on your education, it kind of feels redundant to go back to what you were doing since you were literally 13 years old. And then I ended up getting a job. I won't tell you what I do because it is public facing, and I'm not trying to have any of my Caleb Josephinators coming up to me at work. But I feel like now that I have a job, and now that I've had a long-term job and I've been at the job for over a year, it kind of feels like for the first time since I graduated that I kind of have just like long-term stability. It just feels like I have more time to sort of invest in passions, which is why I'm here. Okay, so back to some freaking books. Yellow Face by R.F. Kuang. And I just gotta say, I freaking love this book. This was one of my favorite books that I've read. Kind of like thriller. It's kind of a comedy, but it was like right up my alley. I love this book. It was freaking funny. I read it in a couple days. It's not that long. But yeah, this book is good. So next, The Prison Healer by Lynette Noni. I found out that Lynette Noni is Australian, and then for some reason for the rest of the book I started reading it like I was freaking Australian. I remember like for years I would love like some of these young adult books, and people would say that they're horrible, and then I would read them and I'd be like, they're great. And now I'm like, wait, it's because I love them because I was literally the target audience, and now I'm gonna be 25. So like, yeah, these young adult books don't really hit the same. I feel like the way I feel about this is the way that people feel about like freaking Divergent. Throughout like the whole book, over and over, they just keep saying that she's the freaking prison healer. Every 2 seconds they'll be like, she's the prison healer. And then she'll be like, yeah, I am. But she's Australian. She'll be like, yeah, mate, I am. I would say my other big issue with this book is probably the fact that I guessed the big plot twist within like 20 pages. I didn't hate this book. I thought it was fine. It wasn't really what I wanted to read. It was not really what I was in the mood for. I wanted something darker and something a little bit more adult. Because of that, I think that this unfortunately wasn't really for me. Okay, the next book, I don't really know what to say. I read The Lightning Thief this year. I first read this like when I was in middle school, and I read like all of these books and then the other ones that are in the same world. I read all of them kind of back to back, and I loved them. I thought they were great. I was like, maybe it'd be fun to reread the entire Percy Jackson series because they're all really short. I can just knock a bunch of them out and it's like nostalgic. I wasn't feeling it. I don't know. I do enjoy the series and I think it's fun, but because I wasn't in the mood to read it, I didn't really care that much. But I think it's great. I'm not like saying it's bad. Percy Jackson good, but also I don't really care. And I think that they made fart jokes in that too, so I don't know how to feel about that. Maybe I should do another life update. What do y'all think? Let's do it. Okay, so I guess I should answer like the real question of like, why did you stop posting? I wish that I could sit here and say for sympathy reasons that like something horrible happened. I did see quite a few comments of people being like legitimately concerned. A couple months ago, all the comments would be like, oh, this video is funny. Or they would be like, you're an annoying idiot. But lately, all of the comments have just been like, is he okay? Is he alive? I do want to freaking say, I would never just sign off the internet without saying a word, because I kind of think that that's questionable. I've had people that I've followed for years, and then they literally will just sign off. And like, you don't know that they're gone for forever, but then they're literally gone for forever. And I don't like that. I think that that's kind of like shady and it's kind of rude. If I ever were to sign off the internet for freaking forever, like you will never see or hear from me again, I will let you know. I will be the first one to say like, it was real, it was fun, it wasn't real fun, see you later. But I didn't really mean for it to become this whole like shady, he disappeared, he's not alive anymore. And I hate to make any of you worried. But I think it was just kind of this weird thing, and I kind of talked about this earlier, but the real reason that I took a break was just the fact that I wanted to be an adult really bad. I wanted to focus on like having a job for the first time, and also kind of navigating like different areas of being an adult and trying to find a balance is really important. I was trying to navigate hobbies, getting groceries, trying to navigate like video games and writing and reading and all these other hobbies and all these other things and fitness and all these whatever the hell else. I just felt like getting on the internet and talking about whatever kind of just felt not super important for the time being. And at one point at the start of this year, I was kind of planning somewhat of a comeback, and I was like, this is the year 2025, I'm gonna get back into it and I'm just gonna do it. And then I had some time to kind of reflect about it, and I didn't think I wanted to do it anymore. I went from like having this triumphant idea of returning to like this thought that I was probably going to retire. And the main reason for my retirement, I gotta be honest with you, was just because I don't know if I've ever talked about this. As some of you may know, if you are an avid watcher of the Caleb Joseph YouTube channel, you know that I've been quite negative in some of my videos. I did that for years. It was really fun. I had a good time. And it was a couple of years ago, I had an author who was literally a published author in the author writing world. Somebody who was literally in the publishing industry kind of told me basically that I was damaging like my reputation in the publishing industry, and kind of made it seem like there was people that didn't like me. The type of criticism where it was hurtful, but it was also accurate. And so then it was kind of this thing, I didn't know how to navigate it. And it's kind of the thing where it's like, oh, you can leave a negative review for something and you can make a hateful video about it, but then it's not just like the author who's gonna see it and be mad. It's also gonna be like an agent and an editor, and maybe burning more bridges than you want to. And then also when you're an aspiring writer, maybe you're doing a lot more harm than good. That is like a thought that's never left my mind. Especially at the start of the year, I was kind of trying to get back into writing and take it really seriously. And the whole time I would be writing, I had that voice in my head, and at that same time I was planning a YouTube comeback. And then I was like, okay, well, I could make a comeback and then never talk about any people's books ever in any regard, positive or negative, ever again, because that's not classy. Maybe Colleen Hoover won't want to be getting tea with me after my book comes out, but you know, that's kind of how it goes. Honestly, a big part of the reason why I was hesitant to come back was because of that, and just feeling like, oh, maybe I'm just hurting my future career. And now I've had more time to think about it, and I feel like maybe I just need to change my approach when it comes to videos and things I say and whatever. But you know what? It is what it is. And so, yeah. The next book that I read, I kind of cheated, I won't lie. This book is actually a book of 9 books in one, and it was a comic book called Bone. I don't know if y'all know frickin' Bone. Can't see the bone when the frickin' lighting is whack as hell. But The Bone basically is a book about a little bone. I read these comics when I was like a kid. Basically, it's about like this little bone guy, and he's like, I'm a bone guy. I bought this big old hefty version, and they have all the different books in one, and all the art is so pretty, and it's so cool. I read all 9 of these, so I know I said 42 books, and I guess this is 9. Cool. Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. I liked it. It was perfect. It was like exactly what I needed, because unfortunately some of the other books I read weren't really scratching the itch, but this was like perfect. This is exactly the vibe I wanted, exactly everything I wanted. So yeah, it's great. Mistborn. Good book. Next up on our list of books is a book that I read in like one day really fast because I was like bored, and that was Britney Spears' book Woman in Me. I don't really believe in ranking people's memoir because that's awkward and weird to be like, your life is boring and sucks. So I read this, but her life was boring and it sucked. I went through those 3 books really freaking fast, so it feels a little bit too early for another update, but this one's gonna be really short because I don't want to talk about it. I thought I would let everyone know, just for the sake of transparency, and also because I know that you were involved in his life. My dog Wally unfortunately did pass away last spring. He literally passed away like right when I started my first job, so that was great. It was super sudden, super sad. I don't like to talk about it, but I thought I would let you frickin' know. So, and I guess that also is part of the reason why I kind of took a break from the internet too, because I was really sad. It's really sad, but we don't talk about that. Okay, next book. Let's talk about another book. In order to distract ourselves from the sadness of the life that was taken, I'm gonna talk about this book that I read again in one day, called A Taken Life. Isn't that great? This book is about a girl that was kidnapped. This is a biography too, and basically it's about how she was kidnapped for like 15 years or something. I don't know how to review someone's biography. Also, I don't know how to review someone's biography when it's literally about how they were kidnapped. But 1 star. The next book that I have to talk about is another book that I read. This is called The Giver, and it gave Well of Ascension by Brandon Sanderson. I've seen a lot of people say that this is the worst book in the Mistborn series and they don't like it and they say it's like a filler book and that it's boring and bad. I think this is freaking incredible. This is true art. If you were to ask me what it's about, I couldn't even tell you. Should we do another life update? Maybe it's time. Okay, are y'all ready? This is really like tragic stuff. I logged onto my Twitter and it was hacked. The person that hacked the account to make it even worse, like they're just the crypto like loser. They literally post like crypto and trading and like stocks. I don't even know how any of that works. And it's just freaking weird. And I was under the impression that all my followers would see it and they would immediately unfollow and that like it would be funny when my account on Twitter that I've built for like 10 years lost all its followers. I was like, that'll be funny. But actually the account gained more followers than I had in the first place. So yeah, if you're following this person, make sure to mass unfollow, mass report them. But yeah, you can follow my new Twitter account if you want. There's like no tweets. Okay, next book on the list is this book that I saw in one TikTok video. It's called Monstrilio. I kind of was getting in this thing where like someone could just say a book was good and I was like, okay, I'll get it. Child passes away and then the mother is like, I'm gonna cut out his lung and I'm gonna regrow him into a man. And then he becomes a monster. The plot kind of gets derailed a little bit. It gets a little crazy. But I liked it. It was cool. Okay, the next book that I read this year was The Hero of Ages by Brandon Sanderson. I definitely didn't like this one as much as the second one. But the last however many pages kind of blew my mind. And it was lit. So yeah, read this book. Read this series. It's great. Alright, the next book on this list is the, I know that I read the first book in this Captive Prince series earlier, and I said that like, oh, when you're not online, you can kind of read whatever you want, and it's like no one has to know about it. This isn't like a guilty pleasure. I don't feel any pleasure. I just feel guilty. Some of it was still weird. This one is a little bit less yikes than the first one. I wasn't really into the world building of this. It kind of felt like it was sort of secondary. So that's all I have to say about this. I don't plan on continuing. The next book that I have to talk about is actually a book that I feel like everyone is really wanting to know my thoughts on. Sunrise on the Reaping by, what's her name? I don't really give things star ratings because I think that that's kind of a cop-out, but I think it's great. I gave it 5 stars, I guess. Basically, this is about the Hunger Games. I loved the themes of propaganda and how it kind of twisted the story that we thought we knew. It was really interesting. I'm excited for the movie. I have no idea. Do people like this? Do people think it's bad? I don't know. I think it's good. So basically, I'm not like a comic reader, but when I was a kid, I would read like quite a few comics. And another random comic that I owned, I didn't even like go to the library and get this, but I owned it. Amulet. And it's called The Stone Keeper, okay? This book was just a random freaking comic. I owned the comic. It's just about like this girl and they move into a house and then the house is magical. And I probably read this book like 5 or 6 times, no joke. But I never read the rest of the series. And so when I was reading lots of books, I was like, maybe it could be fun to like buy the entire box set of all like 9 or 10 of the books. So I did. And I read them. The series is pretty inconsistent. Some of them are like wild and really cool and really interesting. Others, I don't want to say they're bad or boring, but they just kind of are like, it's like a little bit of a side quest. I guess like, I've been reading, obviously, I've been working, obviously. Maybe I'll like fill you in on like some other life updates, like what I've been up to, what I've been doing, like what's been going on. So basically, I've had a couple of like really interesting eras since the last time you've seen me. As you can see now, I'm currently in my blonde highlights era. Some other eras that you've missed out on, and thank God you've missed out on some of these. The start of this year, I actually had the beginnings, the rumblings of a mustache era. I'm horrified to even mention this, let alone show you any pictures. It was just a little one. It was only a couple weeks. It was winter. I don't like the winter. And every year I kind of go through like random phases in the winter where I'll be making questionable decisions. And the mustache was one of them. I don't know what it was. I went on a whole vacation and I had a mustache in all the pictures too. It was really disappointing. I was reading The Mistborn with a mustache. Can you believe that? Isn't that just so upsetting? What's another era? Earlier this year, my car freaking blew up. Isn't that cool? Okay, other eras. I saw Beyonce in concert in May. That's an era. That was exciting. It was great. I'm currently in my running era, so I'm running a lot. In the month of July, my goal was to run 100 miles, and I did it. And I was like running like 3 miles every single day, and I was super motivated. And then there was one day where I was like, I'm gonna run a half marathon today. And then I did it. I'm like really into long distance running right now. Okay, time for some more freaking books. Oh, this is really upset. I'm sad to talk about this. I'm actually really upset about this next one. The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang, who wrote Yellowface. The first like half, I was just in it, I would get super invested in certain characters or certain ideas, and then it would just kind of change like super fast, and it would be like, okay, actually this doesn't matter anymore, now we're doing this. And I felt like that was kind of realistic, and I understood the point with like what's going on in the war. But to me, I maybe it's just where I was at that point with reading, and I think at this point I'd read way too much way too quick because my brain was melting and I couldn't focus on anything. I might give this another try. I'm not even gonna say I don't like this. It didn't work out. Okay, y'all are get ready to say that I have no taste. Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. I don't know what it was. I think it was maybe the fact that I was reading all these dark adult fantasies where I was like, I just need something like super easy to understand, not too complex, and I freaking ate this up. I read this in like days, and I literally gave this a 5 stars, which is so embarrassing. And then I was like, I guess I'm gonna just read the whole series. So then I read the second one, and it was good. I didn't like this one as much, to be honest. It kind of like took a turn I wasn't really vibing with. And then get this, y'all, I freaking read the third one in a row. I read all these in a row. This one had multiple point of views, which I wasn't really into that much, to be honest. I liked this one more than the second one. I gotta be real with you about this. I read like 100 pages of this one. Really didn't really like the direction we were going. I think by this point I was kind of over it. I did kind of like start like being like, if it was boring, I'd be like, I'm just gonna skip through. I think in general I just kind of lost interest, and also in general the series kind of started to take a direction I wasn't interested in. All right, we got 3 more books. Great Gatsby. This book's basically, because everyone wants to know, basically this one's about okay, next. This book is a book that you could put a gun up to my head and you could be like, what's this about? And I'd be like, I don't know. It's called In Tongues. It's about like a guy who walks dogs. He like moves to the city and walks dogs, and like stuff happens. It's one of those books where it's more of just like a vibe. And it's more just like, here is the vibe. And then you read it and you're like, that was the vibe, and now it's over. And the final book that I read this year also is a book that I don't know a thing about. In the Absence of Men by Philippe Besson. It's about basically gay. And so that is all 42 of the books that I have read in the year 2025. If you're wondering about like the future of the channel and what to expect, in general, I would like to get back to some sort of normalcy on here. Obviously, as a working boy, I don't know what that's gonna look like, but I do know that it's gonna look not like not posting for 2 years. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll post freaking videos. So, yeah, I guess that's it. What is going on with the lighting? Literally been making videos for 10 years or 12 years or something, and I literally still don't know anything about cameras, lights, audio, or any. I guess, like, what do I know?